Good morning. The last 4 videos have led us all up to this moment. We're going to take that mold we made and mount it on the rotation molding machine and pour some resin in it, see what happens, see what comes out of it. I'm pretty excited. Hope it comes out. Stick around, we'll find out. I need to cut some notches in the bottom of this base, and I'm going to do it on the table saw. I was going to tell you that this is a job best left to experts, but actually it's a stupid thing to do, and I shouldn't do it. Nobody should do it. I'm about to, because I'm going to freehand cut on a table saw. That's never safe. It's never a good idea. The only reason I'm going to get away with it is because I'm cutting through really thin cardboard, almost no resistance, and I'm not going to let my hands get anywhere where they could get pulled into the blade. Let's get on with it. Quit talking and get to chopping. What's going to happen is if this thing kicks back, it'll kick away from me and right into your face. So that's your problem. All right, I'm going to guess that should be enough. I've got the cradle pieces, but I cheated a little. I went around and I just sort of reinforced everything. I packed some leftover resin in there. I put some wooden parts. You can see those. Put some wooden parts, extra wooden parts, especially, I guess it was these holes, which I'm going to attach the rubber bands to. I just didn't trust. These little cardboard. This cardboard area. So I reinforced it with wood. So that's all. Put a strip of wood in here. So these are really pretty strong. Still, this was all just scrap wood, very cheap. Did the same thing on both of them. And now we are ready to mount the cradles into the machine. I'm just gonna pop them into position. Even with all my mods, they should. Really easy. Just drop right in. So let's see if they do. I think so. That one's in good. And they should just mate right up to one another because I got them all marked. One of my secrets is I put marks all over them because they're like a puzzle, putting them back together. And I don't want to struggle. I don't want to work at this. I just want them to pop right back into place. You guys don't need to sit and watch me bolt these on. You can just trust me that I did it. And I'll get back to you when they're all bolted together. All right, I got all the bolts put on. Beautiful. And looking at it, you might say to me, do you really need, did you really need 9 1/4 bolts to hold what, about a 7-pound object on this machine? And the answer is no. Yeah, okay, you're right. It's a pretty ridiculous over-engineering, but you know what? I don't have to worry about it. It's gonna spin like crazy. It's gonna be beautiful. So I'm excited. And now we're gonna put this mold together. We're gonna get it on this machine. Let's do it. Let's play with it. Woo! Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. Fun will be had by me. Let's get this mold assembled. In you go, like that. Put the top on. Okay, very nice. I got a handful of rubber bands. Let's get some rubber bands on this. I'm gonna have to stand up over here so you can see what I'm doing. And we'll just catch some rubber bands and we'll just go around. And we'll just make sure that we're putting lots and lots of rubber bands on this good boy. So basically the idea here is pretty simple. We're just going to weave the rubber bands back and forth, around until we get a nice tight fit all the way around. And if you'll recall, we put notches. Remember the notches in the base? Now these notches come into play because I'm going to hook the rubber bands around them like this and like this. And basically, I'm just catching. See what I did? I just caught the bottom of the base. I could even go over to here. That makes a nice tight hold on there. Come around this side, do the exact same thing with right here. Come up, do that. So now see how those rubber bands are holding the base on? Using our handy latches that we carved in there with the table saw. Once we feel like we have enough of those on there, what we'll do is we'll take a long rubber band like this, double it, and bring it over the whole thing and put it down along those bands on the bottom. Down here. And that's going to help. See that? See how that's going to help hold everything together? Just a matter of getting everything held together nice and tight. And if you feel like a band is a little bit too loose, like this one, well, you just do the same thing we do with the cut molds, the small cut molds. Just put a loop in it and make it tighter, and then you get a nice hold. You don't want super tight pressure. It's exactly the same thing as a small cut mold. It's just a bigger scale and you need a lot more rubber bands to hold it together, but you just want to hold it together. You don't want to squish it. You don't want to deform it. I would say we are looking very good. All right, this is the kind of thing that makes you mental. I put the whole thing together, it's all looking good, right? Forgot to put the plug in. Okay, I'm going to take the whole thing apart. I'm going to put this plug in, and I'll show you the putting the plug in, but I'm not going to show you the taking apart and the putting it back together because you already saw it. Okay, the mold's apart. That took under a minute, so that wasn't too bad. So far, not a huge disaster. I want to put this plug in here. Now, early in like movie 1, I drilled a hole. See that hole right there in the middle of that? I drilled that hole for a really simple reason. I'm going to jam this plug down into, it's a wedge-shaped plug going into a socket of rubber, and I was afraid I would, as it went in, I would trap air. I don't know if I would, but if I do trap air, it'll go right out this hole. Well, it should just literally just drop right in. Let's see if it just drops in. Let me see, I should be able to feel it. Yes, it is bottomed out in the hole. Yeah, looks real good. It did, it dropped right in there perfectly. Okay, so the plug is where it belongs. It's in there. We're good on that. Let me put the rubber bands back on and we'll get on to putting it on the cradle. Bands are ready to go. Let's get this thing set in the cradle. Should lay in just like this. Let's see how it fits. Come on, you need to sit right in. Should just drop in, basically. And it looks like it does it. Excellent. All right, you see that? How that lays in there? And I can get to my fill hole just like we planned it now. All right, we're set in here. See how it's not laying flat? That's kind of a pain, but here's a really simple little trick to fix that. We just need to balance the thing so I can work on it. And you would think it would take a lot of weight, but actually it doesn't take much. And if I put this wrench on there, it's going to overbalance it. But if I bring it in, how about there? Just the way that wrench balances this thing so I can work on it. And what I have got, where am I? Oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. All right, you know how much I love stuff. It's like 5-minute epoxy, all that stuff. These rubber bands are most excellent, aside from the fact that they're, brilliantly multicolored. Aside from that, they're made of silicone, and that is genius because silicone bands are super strong and they don't rot the way, the regular bands that I put on here, these latex bands, eventually they just die of old age, they rot. Not these, boy, they last. So buy them by the bag. Fantastic. Anyway, so to hook the bands to the cradle, I just made super, super simple a handful of these hooks. Let's C hooks. Nothing more fancy than that. C hooks. And we'll hook one in each one of the holes that I drilled, which you saw before. Just hook them on in. I mean, this really couldn't be simpler because the deal is it's got to hold the thing in really firm. right? You don't want it falling out. You don't want it flying across the room. You don't want any tragedies. You don't want any disasters. But you need to be able to take it out very, very easily to empty the mold and to cycle the mold. So if you design a system that's just a bitch to take apart every time, well then you're going to waste a lot of your life doing that. But these rubber bands are pretty strong, so I got to get them up and over. Oh, and the other thing I did on those little C-hooks, because I made them myself, when I cut the steel and bent them, I also took the time to dull the edges of the hooks so that they don't pierce the rubber bands, they don't pierce my fingers. Nobody's going to be unhappy and miserable. It's all going to work just fine. So yeah, so they don't hurt anything. And you just rubber band your kit in place like that. That's really all there is to it. We'll see if this is going to be enough force to hold this thing in place. We can get rid of that, and we see right away that it comes out of balance. But how are we doing here? That feels pretty firm. Another thing you'll notice, it is not in balance. And what you want it to be is, it doesn't have to be perfectly in balance at all, but you do want it to be kind of in balance. You would think that it would be difficult to balance, but it's actually simple. And there's a simple trick to it, and it's a single C-clamp. See that? C-clamp. So you put the C-clamp on, and you see what the result of your efforts are. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, could be a little more. What if our little C-clamp's out here? The farther you put the C-clamp from the center, the more balanced it is. That is pretty good, all by itself, just like that. Okay, let's test it. How are we doing? Do we spin easily this way? Nothing catches, nothing hits? Holy moly, look at that thing go. I would say that we are ready to fill a mold. We're going to pour some resin in a couple of minutes here, but before we do, I just wanted to share something. Since early this morning, I've been watching my channel pretty much all morning. And just now, just this minute, hit 500 subscribers. It's so fantastic. I can't believe you guys. And it's not me, it's you guys. And I just want to say from my heart, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all your comments and the likes and the projects you guys have sent in. I mean, you guys are what it's all about. You guys are why I'm doing it. And, I just need your feedback. You tell me what you want to see, and you tell me the kind of projects you'd like me to do. And we'll do it. We'll do them together. So thanks. It's time to mix and pour some resin. So this is the fun part. Like, this is the reward for all the hard work we've done, is right now. So let's take this original dog, I weighed him, and now we'll use that as our guide to figure out how much resin to put into this mold over here. And it's about 2 pounds. And let's see, 2 pounds is about 907 grams, something like that. Okay, I Googled it. It's 907 grams. 900 will be fine. So that's 450 of the A and 450 of the B. So we'll mix some up. And I think we're going to pour this in 3 shots. I think that's a safe amount. 300 gram shots. No time like right now. Let's go do it. I got it mixed. I got the A side, I got the B side. I can already feel it's getting warm. We got to go. We don't have all day. This stuff will kick, and a good amount like this will kick pretty good. Let's go. Let's dump it. Okay, the mold is filled. Let's go ahead and put this cap in. Get that cap all the way down in there. Come on, get in there. There you go. Get in there. All right. Okay. Well, let's go. We don't have all day. Let's go. Nice. We don't have all day. Let's spin. Let's spin. What you want is true random motion. So far, no sign of leaks. How's our witness cup doing? Well, we're still liquid. We're still liquidy. Can you see into that wall witness cup? See how liquidy that is? You can't be letting it sit. It's no time. The biggest misconception about rotational molding is that it is centrifugal force that's keeping the resin against the walls of the mold. And that is simply not true. It is not centrifugal force. What's happening is the natural stickiness of the resin combined with its slow gelling. The resin I'm using, by the way, is not the usual casting resin that I would use to do dump or pour molds. This is a resin that is specifically designed for rotational molding. And what that means is that it goes from a very watery, liquidy, milk-like consistency through a kind of a maple syrup consistency, then into a honey consistency, and then into a yogurt consistency. In other words, it does transition more slowly into these different states, from liquid to gel to solid, and that gives it time to flow and stick and build evenly on the walls inside the cavity. A pouring resin is going to want to go from a liquid state to a mass to a solid pretty quickly. There's not a lot of gel in the middle. There's not this long middle section where it's honey and maple syrup and that sort of, viscosity. It just goes pretty much from liquid to solid in a couple of minutes when it kicks. Of course, it depends on how long the open time is. So now I'm about at the honey stage, very close to the honey stage. Don't know if you can see down into that cup. And I'm going to keep going. I keep checking the witness cup because I want to know what's going on in there. And I want to know. And now I'm saying it's about at the sticky, well, it's past the honey stage. It's getting on toward the tarry kind of gummy stage. Pretty soon it'll be pretty gummy. This material will set up hard in 15 minutes. But we aren't going to wait for it to set up hard. I'm just going to wait for it to not sag in the witness cup. That's all I want it to do, is to stick and not sag. And then I'm going to open the mold, which has got some pressure now inside of it because the heat of the resin that's curing, it's exotherming, it's pumping out a lot of heat. And we want to make sure, so we've got some positive pressure inside that mold right now. And you'll probably hear that when I pull the cap out, it'll probably go psh, or I don't know if you can hear it. It may not be that much, but this is a pretty good size amount of air in there, and it may be under some compression now. Okay, so now I don't think that that's moving at all anymore. And I'm going to say that the mass that's inside the thing is going to be even more set than the mass that's inside the cup. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. See the plug? See what the state is? See how it's gelatinous? Am I getting you in there? See, it's nice and jelly-like. It's gummy and gooey. Nice. That's exactly what we want. Now we're going to be ready for the next shot. La-di-da-di-da, da-di-da-di-da. Stir the hell out of this and quick, quick, quick. Now this is going to go off even faster because it's now nice and hot inside that mold. Okay, so I guarantee it's warm down in there. And that's going to want to kick this stuff faster than it will. So it'll be cured more inside the cavity in there than it is in the cup. No doubt about that. Here we go. Let's shoot this thing. Spin around, my friend, and we'll shoot you. Check of the witness cup, and we are very, very close. This is shot number 3. This is going to build our final wall thickness on the inside of there. I want it to be a little heavier towards the base, and so I'm going to put the resin more in the bottom half. I think there's probably plenty up in that cup and in that other stuff. So let's keep this stuff flowing around the base. mostly. I think that we are about to declare victory and declare that we've done the best we can. We've tried to do everything right. Casting is an art of working blind, of doing things that you hope are happening inside of a place where you can't see if they're happening or not. All right, we're gonna give that 15 minutes to sit. Think about its sins. Think about all that it's done wrong in its life. And then we're going to send up a prayer to the gods of rotation that this casting, and at the end of all of this long process of work, it's going to come out just fine. I came around to this side so that you could watch me take this thing off the cradle. And I tipped it up, just got it set up so you could see it. So let's see if we can't pull these bands off. Get this thing off the cradle. All right, here we go. Let's pop this thing off. Oh, gained some weight. All right. Let's come around over here and take a look at you. Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, this is it. This is either going to be a triumph or it's really going to be a sad and sorrowful day. So what do you think? What do you guys, what do the bookmakers say? What do you guys think is going to happen? You think we got something good here? Or do you think we're in deep doo-doo? Let's find out. I'm a little nervous. It never gets old. Never gets so that I don't care. I never get blasé about doing this. Just haven't yet anyway. You'd think by now I'd be sick of it. But nope, not sick of it. Still fun for me. Consider that I've been casting resin since the last ice age, since the end of the Jurassic, I think, or whatever, the Cretaceous. I never could get my dinosaur epochs straight, particularly. All right, let's see if it detaches from the base, or if it's really on there, and I'm going to have to peel it. Yeah, it's on there. Well, the shell should come right off. There goes one shell. The shell just falls off, of course. And this, we can just pull off. What do we got going on here? What do we got? What do we got? Got to make sure you guys can see as the reveal happens. All right. I want you guys to be able to see. Okay. Okay. All right, so what are we saying so far? The mold caught 100% of the detail, but we do have some minor bubblage in the casting of the hair, which I always knew was going to be an issue. The rubber's coming away from the casting nicely. The mold reproduced absolutely flawlessly, everything. But in the roto casting of the piece itself, we caught some bubbles. No doubt, we did catch some bubbles. It does not destroy the piece because the bubbles are very, very fine and very small, but they're there. So I'm going to have to give this casting about a C, maybe a C minus. I noticed that there's bubbles here in the rock formation, but then when I looked at the original, they're full of bubbles there too. They caught a bunch of bubbles in there, and we probably just reproduced their bubbles. The way I look at it is whenever you make a casting and you're not 100% satisfied, in general, my parting lines are invisible. They're spectacular. They're pretty perfect. So the mold performed very, very well. The flaws that are in the casting are tiny, tiny little pin bubbles, and I'll, right here, I will insert a photograph. They're not everywhere on the casting, but they're pretty uniform across the thing, and they are not in the original casting of the dog, so they defeated that. So in a subsequent casting, it's going to be my job to defeat them. Some other little interesting issues that I'll try to photograph with a macro lens and show you right here is that already in the very first casting, the rubber is starting to fall, the mold is starting to degrade. Whenever you have a rough, just very rough, sharp, with millions and millions of little, like wood grain, really gnarly wood grain, or anything like this, the rubber wants to stick in the little cracks, in the crevices. And I will show you that. And it's doing it here on the first casting. This mold isn't going to make a lot of castings in resin. It might make more in hydrocal, because hydrocal is less abusive to the molds and less sticky to the silicone. That actually might work better. It may get a better casting in hydrocal. I'm going to give the overall effect. It's usable. It's not embarrassing. It's not bad. It's just not perfect. And we go for perfect every time. We don't get it, but we go for it. And we can learn from this. And now I'm going to give some thought to how to defeat this little pin bubble problem. Pretty interesting project, I think. I always rate a project for how well it comes out, but also for how much I learn while I do it. And this certainly has been a good learning project. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you liked the video. And if you did, hit the like button. And thanks so much for subscribing. Again, wow, 500 subscribers to date. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And thanks for watching. And don't forget to send me projects. I would never have done a project like this had it not landed in my lap. I'm really glad I did. I learned a lot of things. That's what this is all about. It's all about having fun and learning things and doing crazy projects. I'll see you next week.